All right, let's dive right in. In the next few minutes, we're going to talk about the single most powerful tool in fundraising. It's something that can transform a simple ask for money into a truly inspiring human connection. We're talking about the art and the science of storytelling. So, let's just start with a really direct question. If you're involved in the nonprofit world, I want you to ask yourself this. Do your donors actually feel your mission? Because, it's one thing for them to understand what you do, but for them to feel it in their gut, that's a whole different ballgame. And to get someone to really feel that mission, you've got to go way beyond just the numbers. Now, don't get me wrong, data is important. Of course it is. But data alone just doesn't move people to act. And here's the fundamental difference, right? Statistics, they talk to the brain. They're great for showing the scale of a problem, for creating awareness. But stories inspire the heart. They show you the soul behind the issue. And this is absolutely crucial. They create a real sense of urgency. So why is that? Why are stories so much better at creating that fire, that urgency? Well, to understand that, we kind of have to peek inside a donor's mind and look at the psychology of empathy. Think about it. When we hear about a massive problem, millions of people needing aid, it's so big that it can feel totally abstract. It's almost paralyzing. Our brain gets the number, sure, but it has a really hard time forming any kind of personal connection. The problem just feels far away. But then, what happens when you zoom all the way in? When you focus on the journey of just one single person? All of a sudden, the problem has a face, it has a name, it has a story. It becomes personal, it becomes relatable, and it feels immediate. A donor can suddenly picture themselves in that person's shoes, and that, right there, is where true empathy begins. But look, this isn't an either-or kind of thing. You don't have to choose between heart and data. In fact, the most effective strategy, the real magic, happens when you combine them both. The winning formula is a pretty simple two-step process. First, you lead with a heartfelt story to build that emotional bridge. Then, right after, you follow it up by showing the measurable impact. You use data to prove that their donation will make a real, tangible difference. And this powerful technique, it actually has a name. It's called data-driven storytelling. It's all about blending those personal, human stories with measurable outcomes. When you get this right, you appeal to both the heart and the head. And that just dramatically boosts donor involvement. And honestly, we see this working all the time in successful campaigns. Child sponsorship programs, they don't just ask for money. They show you a photo and updates on a child's report card. Medical campaigns share a patient's incredible recovery journey and then break down exactly what the treatment costs. It is always story plus proof. Okay, so this all sounds great, but how do you actually put it into practice? Let's build this out into a simple, actionable playbook that your organization can start using, like right away. It really comes down to these 3 steps. First, you've got to actively get out there and gather real, authentic stories from the people you help, from your volunteers, from your staff. Second, you amplify those stories with genuine photos and videos. And remember, real is always better than super polished. And third, you have to make sure your core message is consistent everywhere, from your emails to social media to your website. Now, when you start using this playbook, you're going to achieve something way more valuable than just a one-time donation. The ultimate goal here is to transform your donors into something more. And there is a very good reason for this. Check this out. A staggering 62% of nonprofit leaders say their main focus for 2025 is donor retention. Keeping the supporters you already have, that is the name of the game. And storytelling is the absolute key to making that happen. And this right here is the real power of data-driven storytelling. It doesn't just secure a transaction, it builds a relationship. It's what turns people who gave once into lifelong advocates who go out and champion your mission to other people. And that really brings us to the most important takeaway of all. Storytelling transforms donation requests into meaningful relationships. It's about building a community, not just a balance sheet. So the final question I'll leave you with is this. What powerful story will you tell?